Hello and welcome to Midday Report here on TVP World. I'm Kaja. The European Union's top diplomat is in Kiev amid a flurry of Russian attacks on Ukraine's civilian energy infrastructure. Kaja Kallas met with Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andrii Sybiha and is expected to meet with President Zelenskyy shortly. Joining us live from Kiev with more on this is our correspondent Alex Kaja. Good afternoon, Alex. What more can the EU do to support Ukraine?
Well, good afternoon, Marie. Of course, the frustration for so many Ukrainians was they want to see more military support from European partners. But in her role as the EU's top diplomat, the High Representative for Foreign Affairs, Kaja Kallas, is not in a position to be giving direct military support, as that is not in the EU's gift. What the EU can continue to give, of course, to Ukraine to continue its defensive fight against the Russian invasion is more money. And that is what we've been hearing from Kaja Kallas here in Kiev on an official visit. We heard that the EU is looking at giving another 100 million euros for generators and shelters and cold weather gear. Of course, we've seen, as we have every winter now since the start of the full-scale invasion, Russia targeting energy infrastructure, causing blackouts around this country. We've also heard from Kaja Kallas more pledges of money, around 10 million euros to support Ukraine with a special tribunal to make sure that Russian war crimes are recorded, and more money, around 6 million euros, to help in the support of bringing back kidnapped Ukrainian children. So clearly the message of support from Kaja Kallas expressed earlier today, and these were the motivations behind it.
Every euro we take from Russia is a euro it cannot spend on the war. On the battlefield, as President Trump said, Ukraine can turn the tables on Russia. Russia's summer offensive has failed. Its minimal territorial gains come with a huge Russian casualties and cost.
So clearly 140 billion euros on the line. That is also what's being discussed here by European partners back in Brussels. That would be part of a reparations loan taken from Russian frozen assets in the European Union and given to Ukraine, only to be paid back if Moscow pays war reparations. Now, we know that Belgium and others still have their reservations. There's a lot of pressure in Kyiv for that to happen. Support from Kaja Kallas. But as I said, there will be questions about military support from European partners. Big questions about military support from Donald Trump and those potential Tomahawk missiles. But for now, the EU's top diplomat here in Kyiv doing what the EU does best and providing financial support to Ukraine.
Thank you, Alex Kaja, reporting for us from Kyiv in Ukraine. US President Donald Trump has once again said that his administration might provide Ukraine with long-range Tomahawk missiles if Russia continues the war in Ukraine. President Trump said that he wants the war settled and allegedly wants to take a tougher stance against Moscow.
This is a weapon Vladimir Putin fears, and the US might use it as a bargaining chip to force Russia to the negotiating table. Donald Trump has once again floated the idea of supplying Tomahawk missiles to Kyiv.
Are you saying that you will speak to Putin first about Tomahawks?
I might talk to him. I might say, look, if this war's not going to get settled, I'm going to send him Tomahawks. I may say that. The Tomahawk is an incredible weapon, a very offensive weapon. And honestly, Russia does not need that. They don't need that.
Russia has repeatedly expressed concern over the possibility of providing Ukraine with these missiles and said it would be seen as a new escalation. For Ukraine, Tomahawks give hope for revitalizing peace talks, especially now when Russia is intensifying attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure and Ukrainians once again face the prospect of a cold and dark winter.
We see and hear that Russia is afraid that Americans may give us Tomahawks, which is a signal that such pressure may work for peace.
The Tomahawk is a long-range missile, typically launched from ships and submarines, but it can also be launched from the ground. The missile has multiple versions with a range of up to 2,500 kilometers and can be armed with various warheads, including bunker busters and even nuclear warheads.
These Tomahawk missiles might not necessarily be a game changer, but they certainly would tilt the momentum of the war to some extent back to Ukraine.
The missiles could enable Kyiv to strike regions deep inside Russia. President Zelenskyy has said that Ukraine would only use Tomahawks for military purposes and would not attack civilians in Russia.
Ukraine and Russia continue their prisoner exchanges as Moscow still wages its war of terror on Kyiv. Released prisoners never hide their joy after returning home, but their time in Russian captivity often leaves scars, sometimes physical ones.
For Putin's regime, it's not enough to capture Ukrainian soldiers and hold them prisoner. For many of the now released prisoners of war, their captivity has left marks that are almost impossible to remove.
A woman came, a nurse I think, and she told me, "Don't worry, when you get home you'll be able to erase it." I didn't understand what she was talking about. I saw it 1 week later. How is a person even supposed to react to this?
For many Ukrainian prisoners of war, returning from Russian captivity is just the beginning of a long road back to normalcy.
My doctors have already made some injections into the skin. Next, it will be laser treatments and something to smooth the skin out. I'm a human being. I want to be able to go to the beach in the summer. I don't want to swim in a t-shirt. It's not nice.
Andrii isn't the only one who has suffered disfigurement at the hands of Russia.
I know a guy, they carved a swastika on his head with a knife.
But many of the prisoners didn't even survive captivity.
I saw 4 people beaten to death in prison.
Being held captive, witnessing the murders of others, fighting for your own survival, it's something the human mind struggles to comprehend.
Captivity felt like a never-ending day. It's like these 3 years never existed.
The released prisoners aren't giving up hope and are doing everything they can to cope with their trauma.
I made my first model when I was really depressed. It helps me concentrate.
And every little thing has the power to help.
We don't just assemble robots or other things. It's like we are reassembling ourselves.
NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has emphasized that although the alliance showcased its ability to act swiftly in response to Russian provocations, it must do more. The statement came during the annual parliamentary assembly currently underway in Ljubljana, where bolstering allied capabilities dominated the agenda. Our defense correspondent Zuzanna Jurek reports.
Mark Rutte, the Secretary General of the NATO alliance, took to the podium during the plenary session of the Parliamentary Assembly currently underway in Ljubljana, Slovenia, where he emphasized that although the reactions seen against Russian provocations, particularly as they come against NATO's eastern flank, that is from drone incursions to violations of airspace by fighter jets, demonstrate the efficiency and effectiveness of collective responses, the alliance must do more in order to ensure that its drone defenses and capabilities are up to scratch when it comes to facing up to these new challenges.
The risks to our security have reached. The new generation of Russian missiles can reach European capitals in a matter of minutes. The disruptive power of drones, sabotage of undersea infrastructure, the security of cyberspace. But when it comes to Russia's reckless and dangerous violations of our airspace, we have seen that NATO's response was quick and effective. We are doing what we trained for, and it works. But we need to do more.
To that end, Rutte emphasized that it's crucial that the NATO alliance continues to scale up and improve some of its technologies which it uses in developing its capabilities from drone interceptors to AI. Additionally, he emphasized that although the role of the US will remain imperative to the stability of the NATO alliance, the European NATO allies will also have to do more in order to equalize with the US. And so should Article 5 be activated, that the European NATO allies will be able to withstand any provocations and attack sovereignly. From Ljubljana for TVP World, Zuzanna Jurek.
All 20 surviving Israeli hostages have returned to Israel after 2 years of war. In the meantime, the first of some 2,000 Palestinian prisoners have already returned to the city of Ramallah in the West Bank, while more are on their way back to Gaza under the US-sponsored ceasefire agreement.
Gathered at Hostages Square in Tel Aviv, tens of thousands of Israelis were elated to hear the voice of their loved ones released from Hamas captivity as they were being transported home on Monday morning. Here, the family of Nimrod Cohen, one of the hostages, has just spoken to him. They haven't seen him since he was kidnapped along with 250 others on October 7, 2023. But now he's on his way back, and they're impatient to embrace him.
And right now it's like, it's a huge relief. Like, I think I was asked before, what do I expect next? I think I'm good. I'm good, yes. He's okay, he looks fine.
While all of the 20 living Israeli hostages are now back on Israeli soil, a little over 90 kilometers to the southwest, Palestinians and Hamas supporters were gathering ahead of the expected release of around 2,000 prisoners. The first batch of the detainees has already returned to Ramallah in the West Bank, displaying victory signs as they descended to unite with a jubilant crowd. The Palestinian prisoners are returning to their families, but also to rubble and a lack of resources.
We call upon the international community once again to find a solution for the reconstruction. The war of Israel on Gaza is over now.
And the international community is already here.
Welcome to the Knesset. We've been longing for this day. Great honor. Thank you. It's our honor and pleasure. Thank you very much. You guys know each other. We know each other.
And the sun rises on a holy land that is finally at peace, a land and a region that will live, God willing, in peace for all eternity.
While in Egypt's Sharm el-Sheikh, European leaders, including French President Emmanuel Macron,
we will have a very special role to play in supporting the Palestinian Authority and ensuring that it gets its share.
And British Prime Minister Keir Starmer meet for the Gaza Peace Summit, whose proceedings Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is also scheduled to join. The officials will seek to implement the first phase of the peace plan to transform a tentative truce into a tangible end of the Gaza war, which has consumed over 70,000 lives and shattered the dreams of many more.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has started her whistle-stop tour of the Western Balkans with a trip to Albania. The aim to bolster support for 6 aspiring EU countries and keep them out of Russia's web of influence. We are joined live now by our EU correspondent Angela Skujins in Brussels. Good afternoon, Angela. Why is this trip so important?
Good afternoon. So what we're hearing from officials in Brussels all the time is that EU enlargement is the biggest geopolitical investment in the bloc's security as well as stability. Ursula von der Leyen has visited the region since 2021 every year, but these trips gained a bit more importance following Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022, where she wanted to drum up support and encouragement that these EU accession countries can and will join the European Union, despite how long it takes, the bureaucracy, as well as the reforms are required. This is particularly paramount as those shifting geopolitical tectonic plates in the background, namely Russia's invasion of Ukraine, attempt to complicate matters. This point was raised by the Albanian Prime Minister Edi Rama and Ursula von der Leyen herself at a press conference following a meeting between these two leaders.
There is an ongoing clash in that place between the perspectives and values of the European Union and the democratic world, with another perspective of the world that is based on threatening and challenging such values.
The geopolitical momentum is now. Russia's aggression against Ukraine has reshaped our continent. Every European nation must choose its place. And Albania has made its choice very clearly.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen speaking there about Albania, which formally applied to join the European Union in 2009. What will be interesting, however, is when she visits Serbia on Wednesday. She is expected to meet with that country's President Alexander Vučić to discuss that country's stalled EU accession bid, as well as his friendship with Russian President Vladimir Putin, his presence at that Moscow military parade. So what is clear is that some EU member states are inching towards joining the 27-member strong club. We need to wait and see what other countries such as Serbia will do.
Angela Skujins, thank you so much, joining us from Brussels there. At least 100 people have been injured after two passenger trains collided in Ljubljana and Turno in Slovakia. No deaths have been reported so far, but at least 2 people are in critical condition and 3 remain trapped inside the cabins. The incident took place shortly after 10 a.m. local time when 2 high-speed trains collided head-on at a point where the double-track railway line slims down to 1 track. Local authorities confirmed that 5 ambulances and a rescue helicopter have been dispatched to deal with the casualties. As a result of the accident, rail traffic on the Jablonov-nad-Turno-Lipovnik section of the line has been completely suspended. The cause of the collision is currently under investigation, but based on preliminary assessments, it was caused by human error. And that's all for Midday Report. Thank you for joining us and stay tuned for more on TVP World. Goodbye.